Izzy here. I have the new Altura Photo 8mm fisheye. This is the 2017 version. It's available in a Canon mount, Nikon mount. I'm even going to show you how to work with it in a Sony mirrorless camera. And if you stay to the very end, I'm actually going to tell you about a contest where you can win your very own 8mm fisheye from Altura Photo. But you have to stay tuned to the end. As always, if this video helps you, hit us up with a like button underneath and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, if you're visiting Miami, come say hello at Digital Goja showrooms. This new lens features a sturdy metal barrel with a sophisticated optical design. It's manual focus, manual aperture lens, offering wide and easy grip to focus and a faster 3.0 aperture. It has a new improved lens hood with a slip-on front cap, which is included. The metal bayonet mount provides a secure connection to your digital SLR, and it's available in both Canon and Nikon mount. You can also use it with today's most popular mirrorless cameras like the Sony E-mount Alpha series or even Micro Four Thirds with a mount adapter. Now remember, this lens is designed for APS-C sensor cameras, and it'll provide you a 180-degree diagonal angle of view. Notice the beautiful glass element in the front with effective anti-reflective multi-layer coatings for improved light transmission and minimal amount of ghosting. Plus, with that 180-degree diagonal angle of vision, it will be able to capture large spaces unattainable with regular normal kit lenses. And it's also an extreme wide angle. It's perfect for capturing details when you want to complete a scene in tight spaces and also provide a panoramic scene of everything around you. So you can create and capture beautiful landscapes, city, street scenes. You can create amazing compositions of architecture, buildings, and with the sky. And this also gives your photos a unique feeling. It creates an image of incredible distortion, where straight lines or even the horizon will appear in an amazing curvature. Now, the internal focusing system enables the compact design and keeps the front element from extending during focusing. You can experiment with distortion, create fun portraits, and even extreme wide-angle selfies. Well, here we have it, folks. This is the new Altura Photo 8mm for 2017. Look at that packaging. Nice design. That's really interesting. Notice how you now have a form-fitting case. So it's not going to take up a lot of room, but this is nice and well constructed. This is going to give you some really nice protection. I wish more manufacturers thought about this. Oh, and there is their signature accent. They put the purple lining and nice and smooth. So this is going to give you many years of protection. And wow. Yeah, they want to make sure you get this guy in one piece, so they did a great job packaging this guy. Oh, there you have it. And this is their new lens cap. I like the design, very simple to remove, and it pinches in place, doesn't come off. That's great. And their new lens hood with a button to remove and easily to snap it back on. So now I'm going to show you how to work with the 2017 version of the Altura Photo 8mm fisheye with all these cameras here. Remember, it comes in Canon and Nikon mount, and you can even use adapters for mirrorless cameras such as the popular Sony or Canon mirrorless. Stay tuned. All right, so here we have the Altura Photo 8mm fisheye and one of today's most popular Canon mount cameras, obviously, for APS-C sensor, the EOS 80D. Now, this camera does work perfectly with this lens if you prepare it for it. Remember, this does not have any kind of electronic contact, but it has the appropriate Canon mount, and you can put it on here. And I'll show you how easy it is to get the best use out of this lens with your Canon EOS 80D. Now, first we're going to preset the camera. I'm going to set it to manual, but you can also work with aperture priority because the camera has a preset amount of exposures. If you work on aperture priority and you just set the lens opening depending on how much depth of field you want to work with, i.e. bokeh. But you have to keep an eye out if you have subject matter that has movement. You don't want the camera to pick too slow of a shutter speed and have a blurry image of subject matter that's moving around in your frame. So we're going to remove this lens. And again, this mounts the same way as any other Canon mount lens. You line up the red dot to the red dot on your camera and you turn it and you don't let go until you hear the click. Of course, you remove the lens cap. I would highly suggest to leave the lens hood on because this gives you the added protection for that huge front element. Okay, so first we have to make sure we have our Canon camera prepared to use the 8mm fisheye so that you can actually see all your exposure in real time. So we're going to activate the menu. Remember, this is an 80D from Canon. We're going to go to the camera menu and we're going to go to the 5th folder. And notice we scroll down to where it says exposure simulation, and you want to go and enable it. So once you set that, you can now go ahead and see it in real time when you set your exposure with the 8mm fisheye from Altura. Now, if you want to go ahead and capture high-speed movement, you might want to pick the faster shutter speed. If not, you can set it to aperture value, and now by setting my f-stop, the camera will pick the appropriate shutter speed. Now, if you are going to be worried about the shutter speed, you can also set your ISO to a higher ISO, and that's very simple. You just hit the ISO button on this camera and you can just touch it on the screen and boom. Right now I already jumped up to over 600 ISO, and it allows me to work in a lower light environment or with a faster shutter speed without having to worry about it. Now on the EOS 80D, which is one of the newer in the crop sensor cameras, notice that it does work with the Altura 8mm fisheye in aperture priority mode, but the exposure simulation does not work in the aperture priority mode. But when I switch it over to manual, there we have it. Now you get true exposure simulation, which is so much easier to control your exposure right from your LCD. Now, to create the 8mm effect, you have to angle your camera either downwards or upwards. Notice how it now gives you that bubble effect. If you just line up the horizon, you're really not going to get the effect that you're looking for. So there you have it. This is the way to work with the Altura Photo 8mm fisheye on your DSLR. All right, so you have a Nikon D500, an advanced crop sensor body, and you want to use the Altura 8mm fisheye. Let me show you how easy it is to do this. Again, you have two different ways to work with it. I'm going to show you how simple it is. First, we want to mount the lens, and you're going to light up the red dot on the lens to the white dot on your D500. Line it up and twist, and don't let go until you hear click. All right, so now I'm going to show you the different settings on here. Okay, so on the upper series cameras like the D500, D750, D600, D5s, D4Ss, all those cameras are going to allow you to work in two different modes because they're more advanced. You're going to be able to work in aperture priority and in full manual. So of course we have to activate our mode, and then using the control wheel, we're going to switch it over to aperture priority if you choose to, or full manual. Now, one of the nice features of having one of these advanced Nikon crop sensor or full frame, you can go into your menu and you can create a lens profile for the Altura lens. Notice how in the setup menu, you have a folder that says non-CPU lens. So let's go in there and you can give it a particular lens number. I already chose number 1 for this one, and you tell it the millimeter. This one, of course, is an 8mm focal distance, and you set the maximum aperture. The closest thing to this one would be the 3.3. So I set it to 3.3. Now remember, this is a lens profile. It makes your life easier to set it to that, but the camera and the lens are still not communicating, so it's always going to show that your lens is recording at the maximum aperture of f3.3. But when now you do simulation mode, you'll be able to actually work with the live view and be able to see the exposure in real time on your LCD screen. And I'll show you some examples of that. Now remember, you have to hit the OK button to activate the exposure simulation. And now notice when I change my shutter speed, it will actually show you the exposure in real time. And the same thing goes for changing the f-stop on the actual lens. Notice how you get to see it in real time. So this makes your life so much easier when you're trying to compose your shots with your Altura 8mm fisheye. All right, so you have a smaller APS-C size Nikon DSLR, and you want to work with the Altura 8mm fisheye. Let me show you how easy it is to set it up and how easy it is to attach. First, as always, you're going to attach it just like any other Nikon mount lens. You're going to line up the red dot on the Altura fisheye to the white dot on your body. Line them up and turn until you hear the click. Do not let go until it makes that noise. And then now I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up your camera to work with the 8mm fisheye. Okay, so whether you're working with the Nikon D3000 series or the D5000 series of cameras, which are the smaller APS-C sensor DSLRs, you cannot work on either program, because notice you're getting a lens error issue, shutter priority, or aperture priority. You have to set it to manual. This is now going to allow you to depress the shutter, and I suggest setting it to live view so you have some way to control your exposure system and also to do some tweaking in your focusing. If you switch over to optical view, you're going to have issues with focusing and also with your exposure. Remember, it's going to expose off your sensor, but the lens and the camera are still not communicating. All right, so remember, with your smaller crop sensor cameras from Nikon, D3000 series, D5000 series, you don't have actual exposure simulation. When you're looking through here, the camera's going to keep adjusting to show you a proper scene, but you're going to have to take the picture and then keep an eye on the exposure. Notice how it's overexposed, so you're going to have to adjust accordingly, whether you want to work with your shutter speed or your aperture, because remember, this does have to be worked on full manual to be able to get the correct shot. So here I have a very popular Sony mirrorless crop sensor camera, APS-C, the A6300, and you want to work with the Altura Photo 8mm fisheye. So you're going to need an adapter. I happen to have a Sigma MC11, which goes from a Canon EOS mount to a Sony NEX E mount. Let me show you how easy it is to put these guys together so they will work perfectly for you. All right, so first we're going to take off the very popular 16-50 E mount lens, and we're going to put the Sigma MC11 adapter. You're going to line up the dot to the dot like if you were mounting a lens, twist it to lock it in place, and now I'm going to mount the Altura 8mm fisheye by lining up the red dot to the red dot and locking it in place. There you now have the 8mm fisheye attached to your Sony mirrorless A6300. All right, so you have your Sony mirrorless with your adapter and your Altura Photo 8mm fisheye. You still need to set the camera up. We're going to go into our menu. We're going to scroll up, go into the second main settings, and then you're going to go into the fourth folder. And notice where it says release without lens. You want to go in there and you want to enable it. And now you can shoot with your Altura Photo 8mm fisheye and your Sony mirrorless. Now again, I have the Sony a6300 mirrorless here with an adapter so that I can work with the Canon mount version of the Altura Photo 8mm fisheye. I have it set to shoot without lens, and of course I have the capability of being able to see the exposure in real time through the LCD and of course through the electronic viewfinder also, because that is the added benefit of having a mirrorless camera. You do have an electronic viewfinder that shows you the exposure in real time. So now I'm going to show you how easy it is to work with the Altura 8mm fisheye and your Canon mirrorless. So first we have to get rid of this EFM lens that's on there. That has to come off. Now we need to put the EFM to EOS EFS adapter, line it up like a lens, click it in place. Now it's ready to take the Altura 8mm fisheye. You again line up the dot to the dot, make sure you have it lined up, and you twist, and you don't let go until you hear the click. So now I'm going to show you how easy it is to set this up. Remember, there's still no electronic contact between the Altura lens and the adapter from Canon, but you can still work with this lens on this camera. Let me show you how easy it is to set up. All right, so now that you have the Altura 8mm fisheye attached to your EFM adapter, you still are not going to be able to work with it, because notice what happens. You turn on the camera and nothing happens, because there's still no communications from the lens to the adapter and to the adapter to the camera. So you need to go into your menu settings and set it up in custom settings to shoot without a lens attached. And I'm going to show you how to set that up now. All right, so your camera's on. It's on manual. You're going to access your menu. You can either toggle through, or remember, it's a beautiful touchscreen. Touch right there. Go to custom function settings. Touch that and go to where it says release shutter without lens, and you want to enable that. So once you have that enabled, you can now release the shutter and work with your Altura Photo 8mm fisheye. Now remember, with the EOS M5, you also have to go into your menu and set it to exposure simulation so you can actually see your exposure occurring in real time on your LCD. So we're going to activate the menu. We're going to go into the first folder, which is the camera settings, and notice down here where it has exposure simulation, we want to enable that. So now I can go ahead and notice how I can actually change my shutter speed, and it shows it to me in real time, and the same thing with my f-stop. That way it makes your life easier, especially with that live histogram. All right, so you did it. You put up with me all the way to the end. And as I said, here it is. For the next 6 months, once a week, Digital Goja and Altura Photo are going to be giving away one of these, the new Altura Photo 8mm fisheye. And of course, the mount that is necessary for your camera, whether it's a Canon or Nikon. Now, I'm going to personally autograph the box in which we're shipping this lens to you in, and you are going to be able to find out, because we're going to post a video every week with the winner, and we're going to contact you through YouTube. Now also stay tuned underneath. We're going to have all the contest rules and regulations. And as an added bonus, when we hit 1 million subscribers, I'm going to personally fly over to your home and give you one of these. I'm even going to stay for dinner. Your treat. Happy shooting.